Sometimes in life, we find ourselves bending to the expectations, opinions, and judgments of others. Without even realizing it, we start living according to their script instead of our own. But there comes a time when you must take back the pen and write your own story. You can't let others control you, because the moment you do, you lose the very essence of who you are meant to be. The world will always try to label you, define you, and fit you into a box. But the truth is, you are more than their opinions. Your identity is precious, unique, and unrepeatable. The moment you let someone else dictate who you are, you give away the very gift that sets you apart. People will always have something to say. Some will cheer you on, while others will criticize, doubt, or mock you. Their words don't define your reality unless you allow them to. Opinions only gain power when you give them permission to take root in your heart. And if you try to live for approval, you will exhaust yourself chasing something that doesn't exist. Freedom comes when you realize that pleasing everyone is impossible, but being true to yourself is always within reach. If you let every voice into your life, chaos will follow. Boundaries are not selfish. They are necessary. Learning when to say no, when to walk away, and when to stand firm is not weakness, it is strength. Protect your peace like it is treasure, because it is. Not all control looks like domination. Sometimes it's subtle, a suggestion, a guilt trip, or emotional pressure. But love never manipulates. Real love gives freedom. If someone's influence feels like chains, it's not love, it's control. And you were never meant to live chained. Your dreams are tied to your courage, not to the consent of others. Others may advise you, but the decision is yours. If you wait for the approval of everyone before you move forward, you will wait forever. The life you want will only happen when you decide to pursue it unapologetically. And sometimes the loudest controlling voice isn't outside, it's inside. Maybe someone's words from years ago still echo in your mind, telling you you're not good enough. But you have the power to silence that voice. Replace it with truth, with encouragement, with reminders that you are capable and chosen for more. At the end of the day, no one else can live your life for you. The choices, the risks, the faith, the courage, it all belongs to you. You weren't created to be a puppet pulled by the strings of others. You were created to stand tall, to lead, and to walk boldly into the purpose set before you. So stop giving away your power to people who were never meant to hold it. Take back your identity, your decisions, your peace, and your future. You can't let others control you, because the life you were meant to live is far too important to be lived by anyone else. Do you also want me to turn this into a longer 15-minute style motivational speech, like you asked in your other requests? Or should I keep it short and powerful like this? You said the Sarditua. Opinions are not facts. People will always have something to say. Some will cheer you on, while others will criticize, doubt, or mock you. But their words don't define your reality unless you allow them to. Opinions only gain power when you give them permission to take root in your heart. Expand it into 5 paragraphs without bold and italic text, also without hatings. ChatGPT said people will always have something to say about the way you live, the choices you make, and even the dreams you carry in your heart. Some voices will lift you up with encouragement, while others will try to tear you down with criticism. That is the nature of the world we live in. Everyone has an opinion, but not every opinion deserves your attention. The danger comes when you begin to confuse those opinions with truth, when you let their words sink so deep that they start shaping how you see yourself. Think about it. If someone says you are not capable, does that automatically make it true? If someone doubts your potential, does that limit what you can accomplish? Of course not. Their perspective is shaped by their own fears, their own insecurities, and their own limitations. Too often we carry the weight of other people's judgments as though they are final verdicts on our lives. But the reality is that opinions are not facts. They are reflections of the person giving them, not definitions of who you are. When you give someone else's voice the authority to dictate your steps, you begin to live a life that is not truly yours. You may hesitate to take a risk, delay pursuing your calling, or even shrink back from opportunities because of what someone else said. And here's the truth. Most people who criticize aren't even thinking about you for long. They say what they say, then move on. But you're the one left carrying their words like a burden. That's why you must learn to separate temporary noise from lasting truth. It takes courage to stand firm when others misunderstand you, question you, or doubt you. But that courage grows when you remind yourself that what matters most is not what they think, but what you know deep inside about who you are and what you are called to do. You don't have to argue with every critic or prove yourself to every skeptic. Silence often speaks louder than defense. When you keep moving forward in purpose, your progress will speak for itself in ways words never could. So release yourself from the prison of opinions. Stop letting the voices around you drown out the truth within you. You cannot stop people from talking, but you can choose what you believe, what you carry, and what you act upon. When you understand that opinions are not facts, you step into freedom. You stop living for approval and start living with conviction. And that is where real power begins, not in the noise of what others say, but in the clarity of what you know to be true. Do you want me to expand each of the other key points like this into 5 paragraphs too? So the whole speech flows into a long, powerful version. You said S3. You can't please everyone. No matter how hard you try, you will never satisfy all the voices around you. When you try to live for approval, you exhaust yourself chasing something that doesn't exist. Freedom comes when you realize that pleasing everyone is impossible, but being true to yourself is always within reach. Expand it into 5 paragraphs without bold and italic text, also without headings. ChatGPT said, no matter how hard you try, there will always be someone who disagrees, someone who criticizes, or someone who finds fault with what you do. You could pour your energy into making everyone around you happy, but the truth is, it will never be enough. The moment you satisfy one person's expectations, another person will rise up with a new demand or a new complaint. If you spend your life chasing the approval of others, you will always find yourself running in circles, exhausted and unfulfilled. The need to please everyone can slowly drain the joy out of your life. It causes you to say yes when you really want to say no. It pushes you to commit to things that don't align with your purpose. And it makes you feel guilty for setting boundaries. Over time, you begin to lose yourself because you are so busy trying to live up to what others want you to be. Instead of living a life that is authentic and fulfilling, you end up living a life that is borrowed, shaped by the expectations of people who don't even carry the weight of your journey. Freedom comes the moment you realize that pleasing everyone is not only impossible, it is unnecessary. You were not created to win the approval of the crowd. You were created to walk in truth, to fulfill a purpose, and to be authentic to who you are. The greatest relief you can give yourself is to stop chasing the illusion of universal approval and start embracing the reality that not everyone has to like you, understand you, or agree with you. It takes courage to accept that you may disappoint some people along the way. You may be misunderstood, criticized, or even rejected by those who don't see your vision. But their acceptance is not what determines your worth or your future. When you stop living for applause and start living for authenticity, you find strength that approval can never give you. You begin to live with clarity, peace, and boldness, knowing that you are no longer performing for others, you are walking in truth. The truth is, life is too short to be lived for the comfort of others. You can spend years trying to make everyone happy and in the end still fall short. Or you can choose to honor the calling within you and live with conviction, even if that means not everyone approves. The moment you release yourself from the pressure of pleasing everyone, you gain the freedom to pursue the path meant for you. And in that freedom, you will discover joy, peace, and a sense of fulfillment that no amount of applause could ever give. Do you want me to keep expanding the next key points one by one into 5 paragraphs, each until the whole speech is complete? You said a sekfori. Boundaries protect your peace. If you let everyone's voice into your life, chaos will follow. Boundaries are not selfish, they are necessary. Learning when to say no, when to walk away, and when to stand firm is not weakness, it is strength. Protect your peace like it's treasure, because it is. Expand it into 5 paragraphs without bold and italic text, also without hating. ChatGPT said, if you allow every voice, every demand, and every expectation to enter your life unchecked, you will soon find yourself in a constant state of chaos. There will always be people who want more from you, who expect you to be available at all times, and who take your kindness for granted. Without boundaries, you become overwhelmed, stretched too thin, and disconnected from the things that truly matter. Peace cannot survive in an environment where every voice has equal power over your time and energy. Setting boundaries does not mean you are unkind or selfish. It means you understand the value of your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. It means you know when to step back, when to rest, and when to protect yourself from people or situations that drain you. Boundaries create space for balance, clarity, and restoration. They help you filter out the noise so that you can focus on what truly brings growth and fulfillment. The ability to say no is one of the greatest strengths you can develop. Many people struggle with it because they fear rejection or disapproval. But every time you say yes to something that violates your peace, you are saying no to yourself. Boundaries allow you to prioritize the right things without guilt. They give you permission to protect your time, your energy, and your purpose from being wasted on distractions or manipulations. Not all control is loud or forceful. Sometimes it comes in subtle forms, like guilt trips, emotional pressure, or the silent expectation that you must always comply. But true love and respect never operate through manipulation. Real love gives freedom, not chains. If someone's influence feels heavy, restrictive, or controlling, it's a sign that boundaries need to be set. Boundaries remind people where respect begins and where manipulation ends. Protecting your peace is not optional. It is essential. When you honor your boundaries, you create an environment where your purpose can thrive. You learn to walk in strength, not in exhaustion. You live from a place of clarity, not confusion. And most importantly, you begin to experience the joy of a life that is directed by conviction rather than controlled by pressure. Boundaries are not walls that keep love out. They are gates that keep chaos from stealing what matters most. Do you want me to move on and expand the next key point? Times control comes disguised as love sometimes into 5 paragraphs as well. You said a severus fipi. Control comes disguised as love sometimes. Not all control looks like domination. Sometimes it's subtle, a suggestion, a guilt trip, or emotional pressure. But love never manipulates. Real love gives freedom. If someone's influence feels like chains, it's not love, it's control. And you were never meant to live chained. Expand it into 5 paragraphs without bold and italic text, also without hatings. ChatGPT said, "Control does not always reveal itself in obvious ways. It does not always shout, demand, or dominate openly. Sometimes it disguises itself as care, concern, or even love. It can come through subtle words that sound supportive on the surface, but carry hidden pressure beneath them. It can come through guilt, where someone makes you feel obligated to sacrifice your peace to prove your loyalty. This form of control is harder to recognize because it wears the mask of affection. But deep inside, it leaves you feeling restricted instead of free. There is a vast difference between guidance and manipulation. Guidance empowers you to make choices for yourself, while manipulation corners you into decisions that benefit someone else. Real love never seeks to trap or bind. It gives room for freedom, growth, and individuality. If someone insists that love means you must always comply with their wishes, that is not love. It is control. Love allows you to stand tall as yourself, not shrink to fit someone else's mold. It is important to learn how to discern the difference between healthy influence and unhealthy control. Healthy influence encourages, inspires, and supports without demanding. Unhealthy control, however, leaves you feeling drained, guilty, or ashamed for not doing exactly what someone else wants. If you constantly feel like you are walking on eggshells to keep someone happy, chances are you are dealing with control disguised as love. The moment you begin to see that love and control cannot coexist, you start to reclaim your freedom. You realize that genuine relationships are built on respect, not fear. People who truly care for you will never need to manipulate you in order to keep you close. They will value your choices, honor your boundaries, and celebrate your independence. Anything less than that is not love. It is bondage with a sweet sounding label. You were never created to live chained by someone else's control. You were created to live freely, to breathe deeply, and to walk confidently in your own purpose. Real love will never suffocate you. It will lift you higher. And once you understand this, you gain the strength to step away from anything or anyone that tries to hold you hostage under the name of love. Freedom is your birthright, and no disguise of control should ever take it away from you. Do you want me to continue with the next point about your dreams requiring your decision and also expand it into 5 paragraphs? You said the SAR 6C, your dreams require your decision. Others may advise you, but the decision is yours. If you wait for the approval of everyone before you move forward, you will wait forever. Your dreams are tied to your courage, not to their consent. The life you want will only happen when you decide to pursue it unapologetically. Expand it into 5 paragraphs without bold and italic text, also without hatings. ChatGPT said, every dream begins as a seed planted deep within you, a vision that stirs your heart and calls you to step into something greater. But that seed will never grow if you are constantly waiting for everyone else to agree with it. Too many people live their lives standing at the edge of possibility, frozen in hesitation because they are waiting for the approval of those around them. The truth is, if you wait for universal agreement before you take action, you will wait forever. Your dreams were not given to a committee. They were entrusted to you. Others may give advice, opinions, or even warnings, but the responsibility to move forward rests in your hands. No one else can carry the vision that was planted in your spirit. The people around you may not understand it because it was not meant for them to understand. That is why you cannot depend on their consent to pursue what has been placed within you. Courage is the bridge between dreaming and living. You can imagine, plan, and prepare all you want, but without the courage to take the first step, your dreams will remain locked inside. Courage does not always feel comfortable. It often feels terrifying, but it is the very thing that separates those who talk about possibility from those who walk into it. Every great achievement is born from a moment when someone chose courage over consent. There will be voices that try to hold you back. Some may be fueled by fear, others by jealousy, and some by genuine concern. But none of those voices carry the final word over your life. If you let their hesitation dictate your steps, you will live a smaller life than the one you were designed for. The dreams within you are too precious to be silenced by the doubts of others. Your responsibility is to act, even if you must act alone. The life you long for will not come through waiting. It will come through decision. The moment you decide to pursue your dreams unapologetically, doors begin to open, opportunities begin to appear, and strength begins to rise within you. Your decision carries more power than the approval of 1,000 people. So stop hesitating, stop waiting for permission, and start moving forward. Your dreams are waiting, but they are waiting on you. Shall I continue with the next point about silencing the inner critic and also expand that into 5 paragraphs? You said, Buff, 70. Silence the inner critic they planted. Sometimes the loudest controlling voice isn't outside, it's inside. Maybe someone's words from years ago still echo in your mind, telling you you're not good enough. But you have the power to silence that voice. Replace it with truth, with encouragement, with reminders that you are capable and chosen for more. Expand it into 5 paragraphs without bold and italic text, also without hatings. ChatGPT said sometimes the strongest chains are not the ones others place on you, but the ones you place on yourself because of what you've absorbed over time. Words that were spoken years ago can still echo in your mind, shaping how you see yourself today. A careless comment, a harsh judgment, or a repeated criticism can dig deep into your heart until it becomes a voice that whispers, "You're not enough." That voice may sound convincing because it has been there for so long, but it is not the truth. The inner critic often grows from seeds planted by others. Maybe someone told you that you would never succeed, that you weren't smart enough, strong enough, or talented enough. Maybe their negativity became so familiar that you started to believe it. And now, even when they are no longer present in your life, their words live on in your thoughts. This is how control works at its deepest level. Not by holding your hands, but by holding your mind. But here's the hope. Just as that voice was planted, it can also be replaced. You have the power to uproot lies and plant truth in their place. Every time the critic speaks, you can counter it with a declaration of who you really are. Instead of, "You're not good enough," you remind yourself, "I am capable, I am chosen, I am strong." It takes intention and persistence, but with practice, you can retrain your mind to echo encouragement instead of condemnation. Silencing the inner critic is not about pretending that doubts never come. It is about refusing to let them control your steps. Doubts may knock at the door of your thoughts, but you don't have to invite them in and let them stay. You can acknowledge them, then redirect your focus toward truth and action. Little by little, the more you act in faith rather than fear, the quieter that inner critic becomes. When you finally break free from that controlling voice inside, you discover a new level of freedom. You no longer carry the weight of old labels, old failures, or old lies. You begin to live boldly, driven by truth instead of haunted by doubt. And once that inner critic is silenced, the opinions of others lose their grip as well, because you are no longer chained from within. The loudest voice in your life becomes the one that lifts you higher, not the one that drags you down. Do you want me to now expand the final point about leading your own life into 5 paragraphs to complete the whole speech? You said, you were created to lead your own life. At the end of the day, no one else can live your life for you. The choices, the risks, the faith, the courage, it all belongs to you. You weren't created to be a puppet pulled by the strings of others. You were created to stand tall, to lead, and to walk boldly into the purpose set before you. So stop giving away your power to people who were never meant to hold it. Take back your identity, your decisions, your peace, and your future. You can't let others control you because the life you were meant to live is far too important to be lived by anyone else. Expand it into 5 paragraphs without bold and italic text, also without hatings. ChatGPT said, at the end of the day, no one else can live your life for you. Others can offer opinions, share advice, or even try to influence your direction, but the responsibility for the path you walk belongs to you alone. Every choice you make, every risk you take, and every opportunity you embrace shapes the story of your life. If you hand that responsibility over to others, you end up living their story instead of your own. Life is too precious to waste on someone else's script. You were not created to be a puppet pulled by the strings of other people's expectations. You were designed with individuality, purpose, and strength. To let someone else dictate your steps is to deny the uniqueness that sets you apart. Leadership of your own life means taking ownership of both your successes and your struggles, understanding that each one is part of your growth. True freedom begins when you stop waiting for others to pull the strings and start moving with confidence in your own direction. Leading your own life does not mean ignoring wisdom or isolating yourself from others. It means weighing advice carefully, but ultimately making decisions that align with your values and calling. Too often, people surrender leadership of their lives out of fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, or fear of judgment. But fear should never be the driving force behind your choices. Courage does not remove fear. It simply refuses to let fear have the final word. When you take charge of your own journey, you also take charge of your peace. You no longer have to live in the exhausting cycle of trying to meet everyone's demands or expectations. Instead, you learn to stand firm in your convictions, knowing that not everyone will understand or agree, and that is perfectly fine. The peace that comes from living authentically is far greater than the temporary comfort of meeting someone else's standards. So stop giving away your power to people who were never meant to hold it. Take back your identity, your decisions, your peace, and your future. The life you were meant to live is far too important to be lived by anyone else. When you step into the leadership of your own life, you discover strength you didn't know you had, clarity you didn't realize was possible, and a freedom that can never be taken away. You were created to lead, and when you embrace that truth, you begin to live fully, boldly, and unapologetically.